Howdy, howdy, howdy. How is everyone doing? Yeah, all right. Howdy, man. Howdy, sir. How y'all doing? I reckon I've seen y'all before. You reckon you seen me before? I'll bet you have. Mighty fine day out. Well, today we're going to talk about freeness of speech. That's different from freedom of speech. Now, how is that different? Well, freeness of speech is talking about your wide expanse of vocabulary. Freedom of speech is talking about your ability of speech. Okay? So there's a difference between the two. You can either abuse your freedom of speech or you can use your freedom of speech very wisely. It depends on how vast your vocabulary is. Depends on what your freeness of speech is. So, going to mention a few scriptures here. First, I'll cite them, let you know what the reference points are, and then I'm going to read a few to you. All right? Does that sound all right, everyone? All right. First one is 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 11 and 12. 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 4. Okay? 1 John chapter 2, verse 28. Chapter 3, verse 21. Same book of the Bible, chapter 4, verse 17. Hebrews chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Same book of the Bible, chapter 4, verse 16. Philemon. There's only one chapter in there, verses 8 and 9. Verses 8 and 9. Acts chapter 2, verse 29. Chapter 28, verses 30 and 31, the same book of the Bible. Philippians chapter 1, verse 20. Ephesians chapter 3, verses 11 and 12. Same book of the Bible, chapter 4, verse 29. And then there's Matthew chapter 7, verses 17 and 18. Colossians chapter 3, verse 8. Colossians 3, verse 8. All right. So to start out with, why don't I read a good one about freeness of speech in Hebrews chapter 4? Not too difficult. Find it in the second half of the Bible, Matthew through Revelation. Hebrews, right there. I'm going to say chapter 4 and verse 16 is on page 1604. Here's the binding of the 2013 revision of the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. This is the front cover of it in English. So it says, "Let us then approach the throne of undeserved kindness with freeness of speech, so that we may receive mercy and find undeserved kindness to help us at the right time." All right, how about another one? How about Ephesians chapter 4? Ephesians chapter 4, and that's on page 1567, verse 29. It says, "Let a rotten word not come out of your mouth, but only what is good for building up as the need may be, to impart what is beneficial to the hearers." All right, so maybe I should read one more. Matthew. Matthew. Everybody knows Matthew. Originally written in Hebrew, then translated into Greek in the Greek Septuagint. Matthew chapter 7, verses 17 and 18. That's on page 1314. Matthew chapter 7, verses 17 and 18. "Likewise, every good tree produces fine fruit, but every rotten tree produces worthless fruit. A good tree cannot bear worthless fruit, nor can a rotten tree produce fine fruit. A good tree cannot bear worthless fruit, nor can a rotten tree produce fine fruit." Right, so it's not just all the occurrences that mention freeness of speech, and you can look those up in your own time, but it's about building each other up, being upbuilding, not condemning each other, not speaking injuriously of one another, being positive, improving morale. And that's sadly lacking in today's society and today's world. So we want to be on the lookout for that. And also, there's the U.S. constitutional right to freedom of expression. Freedom of self-expression is what it calls it. In today's terms, they call it freedom of speech. It used to be called freedom of self-expression. So, what else could we talk about today? Well, I have one more thing I could look up. I don't mean to bore any of you. And have you ever heard of Waylon Jennings? The scene of this world is changing. As 1st and 2nd Corinthians 7:29 through 31 says, you may want to look that one up in the future. I just wanted to play a little bit of part of that for you. By the way, did you know we had a city named Wyoming here in Michigan? I thought it was just the name of a state. Yeah. Let's see here. Come on. Alright, so how do you like my flannel, huh? I've had it for a while, though. Looks a little bit country out in the ghetto area. Oh, I know. Slow moving outlaw. Ever heard of that one? I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I do want to give proper credit to the one that sang it, one that put music to it. There's the band behind Waylon Jennings and the voice of Waylon Jennings himself. Let me see if I can find something here.
The people I meet on the road just give and give.
Sorry
and I
for
only
the
hope they
commercial.
take
Don't
time
want that.
to care for themselves. All the old stations are being torn down, and the high-flying trains no longer roll. The floors are all sagging with boards that are suffering from not being used anymore. Things soon be no more.
Alright. So I just thought I'd put on a little bit of something special for you. And I hope you can hear everything all right. Um, so I'm going to put this video up sometime either tonight or tomorrow. And I'll try to put the text display of the cited scripture that I gave you, all right, along with a few quotations of a few scriptures that I read to you, all right. So let me know what you think. Drop a comment along down below. Feel free to do that. Just keep it appropriate. I really don't want to report anyone for inappropriate comments, but you do have your freeness of speech. You do have your freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression, freedom of speech, as it's currently known. All right. So make sure you give me a holler out. Keep it appropriate. Shout out. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to see in the future here on my YouTube channel. All right. My name is Andrew Westberg, by the way. Bye.